All right. What is going on, everyone? My name is KARAC Hendricks. This road is mine. This week we're going to be talking about the amazing album called Everything is Everything by Donny Hathaway. I got my boy Colin with me here again.
Hello.
What's going on, buddy?
Not much. I haven't listened to this album or this artist, so.
Yeah, well, it's funny. In not dissimilar to Loretta Lynn, there's I don't know. There's just something about this guy that every now and then I make a purchase based on an impulse. And this is one of those albums that I bought on an impulse. We were actually at Value Village on White Ave many years ago, and for some reason, I'm a bit of a sucker for seeing record label titles, and this one was a reissue, like through the Rhino catalog. So I knew it must have had some sort of significance, and the cover looked really cool.
Yeah, it is cool cover.
Yeah, and I had seen the name, I knew the name, but again, it just hadn't really put a lot of this together. I always talk about my musical influences are often more like a sphere, like a circle. I've kind of got right in the middle. I've got the things, the core that I really dig, which is often, more your contemporary folk and your obviously modern country, all forms of country and rock. And then as you go out, you could throw in things like rap and metal and things that I like as well. But it's not my core necessarily. But yeah, some of this stuff kind of falls right in the middle there. It's this would be what you'd call, I guess, R&B soul.
Well, I was just reading. I read the entirety of the back, and it kind of almost reminds me of where you come from.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
Yeah.
I guess more redneck. But
well, yeah, he encountered a lot. I mean, it's he had a hard life. I started to do, obviously, once I got the album, listened to it just cold, and really enjoyed it. But the research that I ended up having to do was well worth the journey. But yeah, so we're talking about Donny Hathaway here, and I'm going to rely on the lovely, infamous Wikipedia just to make sure I've got some of the stats right. Yeah, so he originally went by the name Donny Pitts.
yeah, I read that.
I'm not sure what that was, if that was a fake name, or I think he came from a family of music, I think. So
Yeah, it said his mom was an accomplished gospel singer. So
okay, yeah, well that lines up. He was he ended up being a really amazing songwriter. Which is weird because then, like, this album, this is mostly songs he wrote or co-wrote, but there's a few covers on there. But then, like, the second album is all covers. Yeah. So it's just really strange, but yeah, it's a really interesting thing. But yeah, so yeah, there's just something about that the cover and then just his name. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna check this out, and yeah, my mind was just blown. I mean, there, especially in this era, the quote unquote renaissance of popular music was definitely 65 to 75. I don't think that's even in dispute. Obviously, many of our favorite years of music and records and albums are not necessarily within that window. But if you think of through the advent of rock and roll from 55, just like I've always told you before, it's always important to think of decades of music on the fives instead of the zeros. It just makes way more sense. You can line it up. So
makes sense too.
1955 was definitely the sort of the birth of rock and roll. Little Richard, Bill Haley and the Comets, obviously Elvis really transformed everything. But then after the British invasion with the Beatles and the Kinks and all that jazz, it comes through. And then that's when I think a combination of just social change. We had, like with a lot of drug use, LSD, and a lot of that stuff started coming around. Marijuana got a little more in vogue. And music just started to change, and the exploration of everything and all the culmination of all of those influences. Yeah. You can just, everywhere you poke, anywhere in that decade, it's mind blowing. And in this case, I mean, you're looking at, this is, you're pretty much your classic R&B soul, which there's always going to be a connection to church music, especially
definitely
with the in the U.S. with the their passion and their singing for it really comes through in a lot of these key artists. And there's going to be a handful of artists that you're always going to hear about and think about, like Aretha Franklin. Her dad was I think his name is C.F. Franklin or F.C. Franklin or something. He was a famous preacher as well.
Okay,
And it looks like even Donny Hathaway. So you've got your Marvin Gaye. You've got all these artists that came through that rock and roll era as well too. And Donny, yeah, his legacy, sadly, although actually no, it's not sad. I shouldn't say that. It's a Christmas song. He wrote one of the last classic Christmas songs.
What was it?
It's called a song called "This Christmas," and it's been covered by everyone.
Okay.
You can obviously think about actually the most recent modern classic is the Mariah Carey song.
Yeah,
All I Want Is You.
Modern classic, yeah.
Yeah, and there's some more paradoxical comments.
Yeah.
Again. But we've also got Wonderful Christmas Time, Paul McCartney, which I think Last Christmas by Wham, George Michael.
Oh yeah, did they write that?
I think George might have wrote that. Yeah, George's I think a pretty good songwriter. Yeah.
Hard to know with those Christmas songs.
Yeah, well for sure.
Well, any song like that, really.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, his song Last Christmas just became a modern kind of a soul R&B Christmas classic. But this was the album that brought him to the scene. Everything Is Everything. It's we've got an amazing, beautiful vinyl copy here. It was the record of the month for December through Vinyl Me Please, and it is a straight reissue through the Vinyl Me Please Classic series. I think the beauty about this one, if I recall, is I think this comes right from the mono master. So so it's actually, this vinyl copy is actually in mono.
Okay.
And I think, did we not talk about the mono stereo thing?
Last time we did. Well, but we had a failed recording, so I don't know if it was which one it was on.
No, I think it probably made it into the land of our recordings. That's why it's not fitting in, by the way. For those of you, I guess we should show this maybe. We're trying the video part here, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to hold this up to this camera. That is the cover of Everything Is Everything here. Coney, maybe hold that.
Yes, that
just reach inside that case, or the cover, the sleeve. Yeah, like go right in, reach right inside. Yeah, tip it out if you want, or there's something in there.
Is there?
Yeah, it's really cool. Check it out.
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, that is it. So this is. I took a quick look at it. I didn't really read it cover to cover. Yeah, you can just slide that off. Try not to rip it, but just kind of wiggle it. I'm just trying to keep all of these.
It peels, but
it probably could. Yeah, and then it might repeel, but I did. I was able to slide it off here.
I don't want it to be my fault.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So a guy named Oliver Wang wrote this, and I guess this is what you'd call like a new copy of liner notes. But the really cool thing is that it's as you can see on you can show the camera on that. It's a little booklet about the size of a little journal that you'd put in your pocket, and I think he may have been a biographer of Donny Hathaway's history. I'm not sure the whole story on that, but I know that there was a movie that came out last year. It was called Mr. Soul, a story about Donny Hathaway. I'm not sure if it's been aired or if it's available for download or purchase, but I'm definitely going to take a look at that.
I have to check this guy out. It just says Oliver Wang is a professor of sociology at CSU Long Beach.
Interesting.
He's been writing about music and culture since 1994.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
So I have to check him out.
Well, we do need people to do that. So
yeah, that we do.
Yeah.
Nice.
Guys, David Wild's one of the most amazing writers of music. And he worked a lot on this type of music too. His big thing was he wanted to write about Marvin Gaye and Aretha Franklin, and he did. Yeah, he got to all of them before they died. And
sweet.
But we'll get into David Wild a little bit later. So anyway, Donny Hathaway, this album blew my mind. There's gonna be a playlist up on Spotify with. I think I took a handful of songs from this album, and then I interspersed just a few songs from some of his other albums. He did a second album, which was, I think it was just called Donny Hathaway, and it was a lot of covers, which was just really odd. It did well on the R&B charts, but then he did a duet album with Roberta Flack. I'm not sure how they hooked up, but I guess they would have been label mates. And Roberta Flack, obviously another amazing kind of a name that you may not hear in the top 5 names, but always in the top 20. And they created this really unique blend of vocal, just harmonizing and delivery. Like Donny's vocals are just unbelievable.
Well, we were just listening. It was very good actually.
Yeah, just super badass.
That is one genre. If there's any genres I haven't delved into, I've got into most, at least of the main, not subgenres, but I do need to get it more into like R&B soul and funk.
Yeah. Well, you'll probably do what I did is because, we're a couple, 3 generations removed from the origins of this stuff. You have to do your homework in reverse. And for me, a lot of my introduction into this type of music was through modern rap.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I've learned a lot about funk through modern rap.
Totally.
Just through samples of especially J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. They keep it pretty classic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even their references to novels is quite impressive. I don't know what they read, if they're prolific readers, but it's very lots of old books like that. I think.
For sure. I mean, those guys, any of these artists, they're going to be influenced by other art too. The movies, TV shows. I was thinking about Springsteen in that case. The books that he started reading in the late 70s, once he connected with John Lando, his manager, really started shaping his songs. And even today, if you're mentioning some of these modern rappers, see the problem with the samples is at the time when rap first started coming out as an art form in the 70s, basically the kids that were making the music, they would just grab a record and find 2 bars or
definitely yeah. Well, that's there's on Genius, the YouTube channel. They have a YouTube channel. They have a series where they do every sample from albums, and they did actually the one we're going to talk about next week for my record is Good Kid, Mad City.
That's right.
And they go through every sample, and it's amazing. Even Kendrick in that, just one word from an old record just sampled.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's very obscure stuff, but yeah.
Well, it's amazing how when the medium, so the creation of a piece of recorded music gets reused in a different form, that was fully created from rap, from hip hop, from the streets. They would take there's a handful of songs that are just legendary, The Big Beat by Billy Squier is I think one of the most sampled.
Oh, really?
There's a song, I think, is it Big Red or Old Red by Mountain?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which was that on?
I don't even remember what album. I think it might have been a later one of Leslie West.
I don't know. I only know the 2 Mountain albums, and Climbing's actually one of my favorite albums.
Climbing's great. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Leslie was a monster in size and
definitely
in influence. But yeah, a lot of those songs, basically, they're just looking for an awesome measure, and then they would sample and rap over it.
Even Old Town Road by Lil Nas X was just such a weird sample of that.
I wonder how they stumbled onto that.
I have no idea.
I mean, I think we listened to that album together once. I think that was off the 9 Inch Nails EP.
It was off Ghosts.
Yeah.
Ghosts 1 to 4.
It was a Ghost one. Okay.
Yeah,
I actually never did listen to Ghosts.
It's me neither.
I know of it though.
Super obscure though, because it's just called, the album's Ghosts 1 to 4, and it's 30 songs, and so it's the first 8 tracks are Ghosts 1, and then the next one's the next series of tracks. They're all the same title, so it's I don't even know how you would. Maybe he was just smoking and listening to by 9 Inch Nails.
I assume it's all instrumental, or
that one was for sure. I think I haven't listened. We should probably listen to it.
I should check it out sometime. Yeah, because Trent Reznor obviously ended up becoming a very important movie score.
Oh, really?
Creator. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
His big thing initially was he did the one for The Social Network, the movie about the Facebook creation.
Okay,
that was one of his big ones. But yeah, he's done lots of scoring now.
Yeah, well, he's very amazing.
And I think a lot of his music then around that time probably starts to reflect that. I don't know if it was just a transition for him, but and then of course the big massive collaboration crossover between rock and rap was Walk This Way.
Yeah, that's
and if you think
cool.
about the
right,
and they would just rap over that, right? And then
super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I also, one thing I think that it brings up is the idea of music running out of music to make, and but it's it adds a whole other layer of infinity, because it's so paradoxical, but there are different amounts of infinity, which is so weird to think about. But when you think about how we create music, and then we create music from other music, it multiplies infinity by infinity, which is so weird to think about. But we might run out, but
oh no,
I don't know. Who knows?
No, and it's funny how if you've watched like through modern music, there's occasionally times where things reset. Obviously, the punk movement in the mid '70s was a big one, where things just get a little bit more primitive and back to normal. And I would argue that today's Billie Eilish scenario is one of those.
I could see it. Well, actually, Rick Beato has a I haven't watched it yet, but it's just an episode called "The Death of Melody."
Yeah,
and it has her face on it. And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I learned Bad Guy on guitar. I don't know if I told you about that at my friend's house on his acoustic. And I was like, you know what? We're going to time how long it takes me. And I have a screenshot. It was like 30 seconds.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I learned the entirety of the song, but not that that's a bad thing either.
No,
I mean, as long as the music gets to people, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Because, I haven't even had the balls to release music yet. So whatever, she's doing it. So
yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, Phineas is obviously a really unique producer.
Definitely.
And her vocal delivery is actually kind of cool, but I just there's nothing in the songs that connect with me, so I just leave it alone. Yeah.
Definitely. I think that's the most important thing is also exploring people that you don't understand or don't like.
Oh, of course.
Something that I've been doing recently. Like watching documentaries about rappers that I don't listen to, but so
it's important to stay knowledgeable about the process. And you do find that, I mean, I've read and watched so many documentaries in my lifetime and the stories are so similar, especially if you take into account the social scenarios of whatever era they're in. You know, maybe dad went to war or big brother went to war or to Vietnam or something, and then they come. You know, there's all these universal connections, especially with North American artists that can have similar stories, but then of course the music they create just becomes something totally different.
Even on the back of this, like I don't know if you, we just opened it, but it does say that he acknowledges that the only thing that separates him from other people is opportunity. Yeah, there's a lot of people in his situation that were very talented, but he had the opportunity and he took advantage of it. So I think you can kind of take people's stories, maybe even like him, and just all you have to do is replace the name and it's the same story, but
absolutely opportunity
is the main thing. So
yeah, opportunity. And, but then there's that drive and desire too.
Of course.
I mean, it's never been easier to do a lot of this stuff, to make music and to get your stuff out there, but it's also never been harder to get noticed because there's so much of it. So
yeah, definitely.
It's a very interesting time right now with the creativity, which is why all the more reason that you just got to be yourself, because there's already everyone else is out there already.
Yeah.
But yeah, Donny Hathaway just had a really short career.
Is he passed?
Yeah, he passed about this time in 1979. He was 33 years old.
Jeez, that was only 9 years after that came out. Then.
Yeah, that's I think the worst part. We never really got to see what he could have done. So he had this was his debut album. I guess he had a couple singles under that Donny Pitts name before, but this was his big debut. And I mean, he came out of the gate with just a classic record. This song called The Ghetto was actually a single, but a 7-minute track on the album.
Oh, wow.
And so this is a good example of where, when I did my song Thinking About You, I took that type of song as an example of how I wanted to. That's why I called the single release Part 1, because a lot of the soul funk records from that era, they would make a 7-8 minute version and they would just chop it in half, and so the front half would be the single and the second half would just be an extension.
That's cool.
Oh, it's just I just love the concept of it.
Plus, if you want to attract people to your music, I know a lot of modern artists have taken a page from that book and just put Part 1 on it. If you want people to come to your music, just add part to the title. Yeah, Part 1 or Part 2.
Yeah.
You can start with Part 2.
Let's start with Part 2. Yeah, there was a song by Blur called Song 2. I don't
know and it's
it's a 2-minute song.
Oh, is it? I didn't even know that. But it's also, if I recall, was it the 5th song on the album? Or is it the 3rd? It could have been. Yeah. I don't, because I know there's Song 2 and then there's Song 3.
Is there?
By Stone Sour.
Oh,
which is
they did a few of those, didn't they?
Did they? They might have.
I think through their albums, because they've got quite a few records now.
But I think that was track 5 on Hydrograd.
Okay.
And then Song 2. But I've noticed.
Song 3 was that single, right? That one that was pretty big a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
it was good.
Song.
Yeah, good tune.
Beautiful.
Yeah, good melody.
Yeah, Song 2, whatever the song name is, it's never that track, which I've always found funny.
On a similar but completely different note. Pat Metheny has a number of songs that are just letters, so it's like song A, song B, song C. But he skipped some. There's something to that anyway. So then when Bruce Hornsby, obviously just kindred brothers, Hornsby started doing that too. He did a few like song D, E, F,
fill in the blanks.
He made sure that he didn't overlap with the title
that's funny.
of Metheny's songs.
That's cool.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, or even if you made like the letters you spell a word, skip LOVE, and then it's like, oh yeah, something like that.
A current artist that actually just did something along that lines is Lindsay Ell from Calgary. She's now in Nashville. Of course, she's a great guitar blues based country guitar player, singer, songwriter. And her album, if you look at the song titles, some of the letters are capitalized. And it spells something. I can't remember what it is. But,
I always
something
love
hope
creative stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So good on her. Yeah, really, really interesting way to bring, just bring other elements of creativity into the music.
And I think stuff like that can kind of push people over the edge to listen to you, because there's so much to listen to, and it only takes a minor inconvenience for somebody not to do something. So if you just have that little like, oh, that's cool. They must be pretty creative. Maybe I should check them out. And then it only takes something like that. So
completely. I just read an article they've been studying, because obviously there's always this talk about attention spans, which how do you account for the 3-hour Joe Rogan interviews again? But anyway, clearly somebody's got an attention span. But,
JRE clips too is good.
Well, sure. Yeah. But apparently you got to get people into the song by like 8 seconds or 12 seconds or something. There was some article I read,
with TikTok and stuff, it's cutting it down, the attention span. If it doesn't grab you in about maximum 15 seconds, you're just going to skip it. So
15 totally. And you only get paid as an artist or label or whatever on Spotify if it goes over 30 seconds. So which is probably why the samples are 30 seconds long. For any of our listeners that are on Spotify and only have the free tier, which is actually what I've under protest I'm doing now, because I like to, the free tier is actually really good still. In it, they still track your listening and stuff, but I do love the Spotify interface. But when you do podcasts through Anchor, through the Spotify platform, you can insert songs, and that's what we'll be doing in the future with some of these as well. But you'll be able to even hear the 30-second samples, even if you're on the free tier.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very amazing. So anyway, back to Donny Hathaway. Yeah, so I really love this album, especially the second side, because very obviously deeply religious man, which is really cool. Like he was always, striving and reaching for more of a spiritual element. And the second side only has three tracks. Thank You, Master, for My Soul is a song that he wrote.
It said on one of the tracks, it might have been that one, where he just thanks the creator. Doesn't specify the creator, but
well, I think he even maybe makes mention of it like beside each song. I don't know where that is, but then of course the song The Ghetto, which I think is just it's really meditative. I've always been a fan of like really long songs that keep that
keep you listening.
Yeah. But definitely. Even though there's not necessarily a lot going on, it's just the repetition of a groove.
And I think a lot of because I mean some of my favorite songs are like 20 minutes, and I could recite them front to back because there's so many elements to it. But I definitely also really appreciate songs that are like 7 minutes that are older, but just because I can't really think of any off the top of my head, but like they just keep you listening somehow, just
for sure.
Through, like you said, groove and
groove. And there can be lyrics or some sort of a repetitive chant.
Well, even I listened to on my way to meet some friends outside yesterday. I did listen to Madman Across the Water. I'm going to go through the whole album, of course, but I wanted to
the song at least.
The song, and then. Of course, I had to check out the Bruce Hornsby version, so I prepared for that.
Was it there? Or
it was. Well, I'm on YouTube, so.
Oh, good. Okay,
I actually preferred the Hornsby version,
and
it was like close to 7 minutes.
Well, because he digs into the real like dissonant melody.
Yeah,
the
and
chordal changes.
Well, it's amazing because you can tell. It's almost like there's Hornsby chords. Because you could just tell when it's Hornsby.
Well, actually, what that tells you though is that how big of an influence Elton John and by extension Leon Russell, because Leon was a huge influence on Elton John as well. But yeah, a lot of those chord shapes and the way they time their chords and stuff, that really comes in. Yeah, so there's a lot of shared influences, but yeah,
super cool.
It was a great choice for Bruce on that album. That was it's called Two Rooms. It was
the cover is creepy. Or at least the thumbnail. I'm assuming it's the album cover. But if I recall, it's like a drawing of a guy or something.
Yeah.
But it was very like childish.
Well, it reminded me of that artist we were looking at there. The artist that you know of there. Didn't you just get a book of his?
Oh, Keith Haring.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like a bit of a Keith Haring.
Definitely.
Drawing. It might be. Actually.
Yeah. Well, just because of the. I don't think it was Keith Haring, but I do know what you mean. It's that very simplistic drawing of people, I guess, and it's and then like I know my friend and I talk about this a bit too. Is just because something simple doesn't mean it's bad. Like,
oh, of course,
and something doesn't have to be realistic to be good, right? Like
For
that's.
sure.
Why do you not watch TLC?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, now we've moved on to MTV with the teen one too.
God.
Oh, it's
MTV.
just,
wow.
Yeah, who'd have thunk?
We were actually, my same friend and I were just talking about how fun would it be to own MTV now?
Yeah.
Just do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
That would be
well,
something.
it's such an iconic brand, and they're reviving it again. Like obviously this Teen Mom thing, and because there's a whole the Gen X connection,
and
bit of Gen Y, I guess too.
Well, and my girlfriend just got an MTV hoodie, and she got me an MTV shirt for Christmas.
Yeah.
So even the logo's starting to perpetuate itself.
It's a classic brand. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good logo.
Yeah.
Again, very simple.
Yeah.
Just literally MTV.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, there was a great documentary about MTV. I think it was called "I Want My MTV." I was on the A&E network.
Nice.
It was great.
Dire Straits reference. Or
yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Money for Nothing, you bet. But yeah, and then the last song on side 2 of the Donny Hathaway album, Everything is called "To Be Young, Gifted and Black." It's a Nina Simone album.
I was saying something.
Yeah,
about
if
that,
you
right?
want to do yourself a favor, Nina will blow your mind.
Okay,
Yeah, she is. She's one of those cantankerous, creative, like just weird and but so talented. Yeah, great piano player, writer. Yeah, so that was a really interesting way to cap off that album. And then obviously the second album, Donny Hathaway, it's just self-titled.
Yeah, and that's actually I was thinking about that too. When I always find it weird when I want to know why artists do that when they make it the eponymous or whatever.
The second one or down the road.
Yeah, like Collective Soul wasn't their second one.
It was
self-titled.
Because it was the first band album. Because remember the first Collective Soul album was a demo.
Yeah,
album,
that's true.
all by Ed and some other guy.
Which I think I preferred the first one over the second one actually.
Well,
but the second one didn't that one have The World I Know?
Yeah, it was a bigger hit.
Probably
like,
one
it
of
had
my
the
favorite
hits.
songs ever.
Sure, beautiful song. Great video too that went along.
I haven't
with
seen
it.
the video.
Yeah, there's a guy like contemplating jumping off a building, like he's like really close. Yeah, it's really cool. It really conveys the song. Yeah, it's really cool. Song. Yeah, and probably one of the best examples of using the eponymous title is Peter Gabriel. His first 4 albums were all called Peter Gabriel.
Oh, okay. I was thinking because I know like it's like car scratch or something.
So
like
car
that.
and scratch, and those were actually titles that were given to them by on a sticker or whatever, so you'd know what it is because there was a picture of a car or a picture of a in
That's
fact,
funny.
the 4th album, I think in the U.S. it had a name. The 5th album was So, and then the 6th album was Up. Or Us, and then Up was the 7th. Yeah,
That's funny.
But yeah, so very almost a flippancy to naming his albums. Just like I'll just call it. Yeah, it's my name or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I guess even like the first 4 Led Zeppelin albums.
Yeah, technically, I think they had 2, 3, 4 though. Technically, is just Led Zeppelin. Like if I recall, it does not say 4 anywhere.
Because I think 2 and 3 are like
Roman numeral.
Yeah.
2. Yeah, but number 4 does not say Led Zeppelin 4 on it.
It's just that guy. I actually read something somewhere about the picture they used for that album cover. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was just like even a picture of a picture that they just used or something. I could be completely wrong about that.
Interesting.
But
the only way that you could get 4 out of that is the 4 symbols.
Right.
And,
yeah.
And then some people call the album Zozo.
Zozo,
because that's the only word you can see in the symbols. But Yeah. And speaking of albums that had no care for a title, there was an album by Yes called 90125. Do you know how it came up with that title?
Is that letters? Maybe.
No.
No.
I wish it was that cool.
Yeah,
It's
I've always
it's
wanted to do
because
that.
they couldn't come up with a name, so the catalog number that was assigned to it through the record label was 90125.
That's cool.
And that they just went with it.
Well, and even for a modern example, Pliny has the song. I think I remember the title. You could fact check me on this. 1745-7381-3265-2578.
Oh.
If anybody's listening and fact checks me, I'm 90% sure that's
Wow.
right. And I read into it, and apparently that's the chord progression.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So I was like, oh, yeah, I
that's a
guess.
Pliny thing to do. For
Definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Awesome.
cool titles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, back to Donny Hathaway.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this guy up here. So then,
Yeah.
so his eponymous second album, all covers, if I recall, mostly covers anyway. So kind of odd. I don't know. That's really, to me, again, I think there might be a book out now. I think this guy that wrote the liner notes may have something to do with that. If there isn't, there ought to be.
Yeah.
There's definitely a movie coming. This guy's story, there's a lot to it, and I'm going to be doing some digging in, and hopefully if anyone out there listening is a big fan, maybe you could school me a little bit, leave some comments on the socials. Or,
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, because I'm really intrigued by Donny Hathaway. He's one of these artists that just really grabbed me. Just
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely when like you're just at a store and you have to buy it.
Yeah, and that
That's
hasn't happened
cool.
a lot in my life. I'm usually pretty
Yeah.
calculated, because as you know, I hate buyer's remorse.
Of course, yes. Life lesson.
Always
Early.
Yeah, absolutely. I drilled that
Yeah.
into you pretty young.
You did.
And then, he did that duets album with Roberta Flack, and then he had a live album, just Donny Hathaway
Okay.
live, just outstanding. The version of "Jealous Guy" by John Lennon, so
don't
good.
know that
It's on the playlist.
Okay.
And then, his last official album was called "Extension of a Man," 1973. Some really interesting songs in there. It's really dark writing, and I think that's
Well, I was gonna say it sounds pretty existential.
it is, and even in the song titles, I do remember listening to the album. I didn't love it, but it was cool. He did a few covers too. Probably one of the best songs, though, is actually a song that wasn't on the album proper. It was a B-side of a single.
Okay.
It's called "Lord Help Me." It was a Billy Preston song, and it's on the reissue of it. Like on the CD, it's the last track. But I love the Lord. He heard my cry, parts 1 and 2. Someday we'll all be free.
Yeah, that's very dark.
Yeah, and the last song, Lord. Well, technically, the last song of that whole thing was "Lord Help Me," which, he was a tortured dude, But anyway, I'm not sure. There was a long period where he just didn't do any. There was nothing released, and then he had been in the studio with Roberta Flack doing some tracks for another duets album, which did come out after he died. I think there was only 7 tracks finished, though.
How did he die?
Well, here let's. It's really sad. Yeah, he basically he jumped to his death. He was in LA.
Shit.
I'll go to the wiki thing. Yeah, basically he was paranoid schizophrenic. They diagnosed
shit.
after this album came out.
That sucks.
Yeah, he was on a lot of meds, and of course, at the time, the research probably would have been, and the meds available probably weren't great or whatever. But from 73 to 77, according to the Wiki Machine, his mental instability wreaked havoc on his life and career, required several hospitalizations, depression, mood swings, drove a wedge into the friendship with Roberta Flack. They did have that one big hit, though. The Closer I Get to You was. I mean, I don't love that song personally, but it was a really big hit. But then they were in the studio doing some recording, and I guess he got a little bit wild, and he didn't make it back to the studio.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did he jump from?
At the Essex House Hotel in New York. They were recording the album there. Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah, it's really sad. Yeah. And sadly, it's the glass had been neatly removed from the window, and there were no signs of a struggle. So he was a really tortured guy. His Reverend Jesse Jackson conducted his funeral. He does have a daughter. He may have more than one kid actually, but his daughter's, I think, is it Layla? She's a singer too. So you'll see her around. Yeah, she's a modern contemporary singer. So definitely left his legacy. But it was a really, really sad ending. Anyway, he was only 33 years old and he died. on January 13th, 79. So
Oh yeah, that was only a few days ago.
yeah,
The
I think that's why I
13th.
picked this time of the year to do this.
Yeah,
this one.
definitely makes sense.
Yeah,
Kinda goes into Black History Month too, I guess.
yeah.
And mental health. I think,
Yeah,
is in
exactly.
February,
Yeah,
that
mental
stuff,
health
so,
awareness, Black History Month. Yeah, it's all.
yeah,
coming
get
up.
two birds stoned at once, as Ricky would say,
Yeah, that's
from Trailer
right.
Park Boys.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, this reissue came out in time to celebrate the 50th anniversary because it came out in 1970. It's actually being reissued, I think, by Warner proper now as part of Black History Month. They usually
Oh yeah,
re-release a bunch of stuff on vinyl. So
Sweet.
this album was on Everything Is Everything by Donny Hathaway. It's a really good entry into his life and career. I think there's a couple box sets available too if you dig into some of the unreleased stuff, because again, he had that gap where he wasn't really doing anything, but he was, where nothing came out, but I think he was writing and recording and doing that. So
when was his first album?
this was the one. Yeah,
This
1970.
was the first. Okay.
Yeah. So it I think those singles that he had done as under that different name were late 60s, maybe 68 or something. But,
well, and it said he when he was like 3 years old, he was singing and playing ukulele.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think he went to school too, if I recall. Yeah, I'll just pull up his
Howard
bio.
University, I think.
That's
it
right.
was.
Yeah. And yeah. So he definitely had, he had a lot going for him in a lot of ways, but kind of a torture dude. So yeah, Donny Hathaway for sure. But we'll have to drop the needle on this one and play it. So for sure, thanks for listening, everyone. My name is KARAC HENDRIKS. This road is mine. Cohen Hendricks on the other side of the table. And feel free to like, share, follow, subscribe, jump, roll.
Wait,
jump.
jump.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah. Stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, stop, drop, and roll for sure. And tune in for the next round. And feel free to hit that playlist that is up now for the Donny Hathaway. I'm trying to keep the playlist nice and short. They're just going to have like 10 songs by the artist or whatever, because I could make a big giant one.
Yeah, definitely.
But I just try to keep it tight.
Might be an option too, is make both like an introduction and an extensive one, because I like extensive things
for sure.
Well, I do, but
the beauty of definitely Spotify, I got to give them, and Apple Music too, and Amazon's getting good too, actually. But the sound quality, especially, I really enjoyed the
that was great.
But they create their own curated playlists. I'm not sure if the labels are involved.
They're pretty
or not,
good
but
too.
Yeah, like a This Is So and So or whatever.
Yeah, those are really good.
And I love how Apple has Essentials, Next Steps.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they have like a series like for some of these really legacy artists with lots of material.
I haven't been on Apple Music since 3 years ago when we got rid of it.
That's right.
4 years
Well,
ago.
they don't have a free tier, which sucks.
That's
true. I think, maybe you could log in and see stuff now. You just couldn't play, but they have really, and actually they have a really interesting series too. We were talking about Billie Eilish. There's a couple Phineas playlists where you can listen to stuff that he's produced or stuff where he's written. Yeah. So I went through some of that just to try and keep up with the kids, as they say.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, that's right.
I've always been trying to keep up with my own kind.
Yeah, I know. Or running away from it, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that too. Keep up from a distance.
That's right. Just to,
observe
and report.
Yes, with my binoculars. And
Careful. Yeah. All right. Okay, well, I think we've done enough damage to this guy's legacy, so
probably.
right on. Okay, let's listen next week.